Good evening, everybody, and welcome to TFC Open Mic, episode 38. Kixeye Discord discussion is what the title of the show was. Guys, if there is 1 second, I left my YouTube. Did anyone hear that? I left my YouTube on loud. Cowboy, rookie mistake. So guys, yeah, if anyone wants to come on to the show, you know, we've got 6 slots here. But yeah, feel free to jump in. The link's in the chat. If anyone missed the link, we can certainly post it again. But before I go into it, let's welcome the lovely panel. I'll go left to right. So tonight we have Brian, who I haven't seen in ages. Brian, how are you?
It's going pretty good, actually.
Good. And Raina, I'm not sure if Raina's there. Are you there, Raina? Okay, Raina is with us. She's definitely there. Andrew, how are you, buddy? How's it going?
Oh, not too bad. Almost ready for the raid. Ready to move on into the siege cycle.
Yeah, that painful cycle that might be coming. Yeah. Okay, guys. Well, I guess we had the VXP weekend, the bonus VXP weekend, which was great for me because I had a few breachers to rank and I actually still had a couple of bat rays that weren't fully ranked, so it was great for me to get out there and do that. How did you guys go? Did you have any ranking to do, or are you kind of all done?
Oh, I had some breachers to do, and my Proto Apollos are now finished in terms of rank. They're not armed, and now go back into the garage for months and months and months. Maybe I'll finish them then. Mm-hmm. But I had a plan, which I put on to the TFC page, which was about creating an onslaught with a healing matrix and then using that to heal my breachers and try to cut down my coin cost going through VXP. Well, I did it, and it kind of works. It was like a Rube Goldberg machine, as a naked breacher only takes 30 minutes to repair. By the time I bring the ships back, I fiddle with them, I disintegrate ships, I go back out, I let my breacher get healed, I bring them back, I disintegrate them and put them back out. It was just easier just to hard repair them and, I don't know, go watch an episode of Netflix.
Yeah, I found a really neat trick to rank really quickly, right? So what I did is I put on a triple crew, and I went and attacked the target, and then as soon as that battle ended, I just clicked repair now and just did it again, man. And that just seemed to go so quick for me, you know. It was costly, but it worked, you know. I don't know if anyone's caught on to that glitch.
So, I mean, that is the pro speed run, but Andrew had a pretty good idea where, you know, putting on the healing mechanism for the breacher, that's not necessarily a bad idea in PvP proper, because if you're healing the breacher, which is a tier 8 hull and has higher deflections and is taking less damage per shot, the effective HP is more. They'd have to do more damage. Up he's gone. They'd have to do more damage to break your deflections. They have to do more damage in general because the health is so much larger, although the transfer rate, and it's based on the health of the smaller hull, so that doesn't necessarily matter, but the 100,000 health or whatever it is that you end up getting is worth so much more on the breacher because it's so much tougher. Even though it's not like normal resistances that you might find, that still is going to help a lot more.
Yeah, I must admit, I've not tried the healing matrix. You know, I've not tried this out at all, so I'd be interested to see how it runs. Did you make any videos, Andrew? No, or?
No, because it would have been like a 10-minute video of me ripping my ships apart and re-putting them back together. It worked. It was just very, very fiddly and very time intensive. But in actual PvP, oh yeah, it will absolutely work. This was just an idea because I have over 50 tier 7 tokens lying around, so.
Yeah, there's more tokens are laying around than we'll ever use up.
Yeah, so why not try a crazy plan?
Yeah. When does the tokens cut off? Is it tomorrow at the end of tomorrow? Is there
Tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Pacific.
5 p.m. Pacific? What is that in UK time for all my lovely time people out there?
1 a.m.
1
a.m. on the 4th.
So I have tomorrow night to mess around with ships as well, man. That's cool. Okay. Yeah, I kind of went a bit OCD last night and stayed up till like 3 a.m. like doing my base, and like did everything, did every single turret, every single tac module, every single building, every single armor slot. I mean, I had like 5 fleets on the map just collecting res and just trying to get all those tokens done before tomorrow. And then tonight I was going to do the ships, but if I've got tomorrow, it means I might get an early night actually. Are you guys kind of wrapped up on the tokens, or?
I would say no. I've got piles of them left to use, and I've done just enough to say, yeah, I'm okay with what I've got here done, and the rest.
Yeah, same. They gave us more than we'd use, and that was nice of them because, like, I'd made a couple of mistakes, and then I wanted, it's like, oh, I did the wrong special here. Let me fix that. I can do that, and then wait. I should change this entire turret type out from one type to another, all 4. Oh, hey, I can do that and still have like 20 tokens left after all the other changes. And now I've just been making tweaks to my warehouse. I think it's going to be really interesting to do the new base layouts, though, because of you only need one warehouse to get your fire support and your missile buffing thing or your explosive buffing thing. And now you can contend with 4, 5, all 6 even damage types. So you could sprinkle them throughout. It's not turrets are not useless anymore. You can make a bubble pattern that's great, but unless you picked long range turrets, in which case you're just wrong. At least as of right now. There are so many different things you can do, and I think that's gonna encourage a lot of new play going forward. And maybe if you go out and see someone's base, a high-level player's base, you might get ideas of your own. And today and tomorrow, unless you work at normal human times, you'll still be able to fix what you see and maybe give that a try.
Well, I would definitely say, like, I think that, like, before, in terms of what I would use on my base, it was quite linear. It was fire support 2 times 5, a few overlays. Whereas now, like in particular, when I was redesigning and readjusting, I was actually enjoying using stuff. Like there was specials I'd never used before because they were always second choice to other specials. But now, I may have a cluster of turrets and 3 warehouses, and one warehouse has got a KB buffer on it. One warehouse has got an overlay. One warehouse has got an overlay and fire support 2. And I'm kind of combining and utilizing stuff that I would never have looked at previously. So in terms of like the wider strategy, I think it has broadened. It has opened up. It's just we're doing it differently now, which is quite cool, I think.
Yep.
I generally built my tier 7 ships in pairs, 2 witch doctors, 2 impact cruisers, whatever. And one of the things that I've done now is I have put a siege battery or any of the batteries on one of the ships, and on the other ship, there is no siege battery. I want to see if I can see a big difference between the 45% turret defense and the 50% turret defense that you get from the various different batteries. Mm-hmm. Since these ships all have a limited lifespan anyways, and within 6 months, I expect that all of these ships will be disintegrated anyways. This is a great time to test it.
Yeah. I kind of wish that all these changes didn't come at the same time we were leaping into T8, because just as our heads are going to wrap around the changes, we're also going to be wrapping around T8 stuff, releasing like the holes and the weapons and the defenders and the turrets. But I don't know. Maybe there's positives and negatives of both. But is there anything else anyone wants to throw in maybe before I start going on to the Discord stuff?
There was a post the other day on the page. It got a little heated on a couple things, but there was one fellow that was really struggling with how can one ship do X amount of damage and so on and so forth. So there's still a lot of folks that are struggling with the new dynamic of damage over deflection is all that matters. He felt like he had a lot of deflection at 85,000. And I did a quick calculation, except that the attacker could be delivering over 600,000 per projectile. So the 85 isn't nearly as good as it looks in your mind. Mm-hmm. And I felt bad if the guy actually reached out to him privately and offered to review his defense builds and kind of show him why his stuff isn't doing anything without making it big and public on the page. And, because so many people don't want to troll people and the rest of it. And he didn't respond back. So, well, I extended the offer. He didn't accept. That's fine. But there's clearly a lot of people that need to understand the math or at least the concept behind how it works now. Or their frustration level just really does go pretty big.
Yeah. I think in many ways it could be that the changes could have been, I don't know, it could have been broadcast a bit better from Kixeye's end. It is hard because it took so long. Sorry, was someone trying to speak?
Yeah, well, the player.
I don't know who that is, but I'm really struggling to hear you. You're sounding quite.
Yeah, you are cutting out something fierce.
Yeah,
maybe
Soul
refresh.
Hex is having issues.
Who is that?
Soul Hex.
All right. Sorry. Where were we?
Deflection and such. Yeah, and I mean this ties into one of the Discord questions. Actually, one of the things that was called for was an easier way to understand stat blocks, probably both on offense ships and defense, both ships and turrets, where you'd put all your stuff on, all your specials, this and that, and it would tell you.
Are you gonna eat the chocolate chips?
How much damage?
Sorry, it's okay. I've muted.
Okay.
Simba, just what's your background noise level there? You must keep yourself on mute, buddy. If you're not speaking, I've just muted you. Sorry, go on.
How much damage you deal per projectile, because that's what matters on offense and defense. Maybe even if they intend to do this, there could be some sort of explanation in the tooltip, like I hover over, an Arbalest 2, and I've got my whole build kitted out with maybe a ballistic upgrade, pick your favorite ballistic damage special, and so on and so forth. And it'll say, right now, this weapon deals 200,000 per projectile to ships, as an example. 130,000 to walls and 160,000 to buildings. The opponent would need, this much deflection to overcome that. So now they understand what deflection is, even though they didn't necessarily look at a deflection number. They just looked at the damage, but now they understand the other side. It's, I need deflection this high. And with 100,000 deflection, I'm taking 100,000 damage a shot instead of 200,000. Just something like that, because although deflection has been in game for several years, there isn't a good way. There's not a tutorial about this in any capacity. You have to go on the forums and ask and hope people are nice to you that day and give you the right answer. That some sort of BP glossary in game would go a long way, I think, especially now.
Definitely. Well, okay, guys. Well, what we'll do, we'll pick up now on the Discord question. Now, I know probably there's a fair amount of you that have read these, or maybe even were in the Discord at the time. There's been a post on the forum, which thankfully Templar has sort of compiled. So I'm going to just read through the questions and and the answers given. And if we want to step in and say something on that, we will. I mean, we've got 45 minutes and 36 questions to go through, so there's time to discuss. The first one looks fairly basic. Laredo asked Golden Doodle, what do you bring to BP that's going to bring back the fun? Now, I feel like this was quite a generic answer because it's the same kind of answer we've got off of every Kixeye dev for the last 5 years. They all seem to say the same thing. But his reply to that was trying to find new and interesting ways to play the game. I don't want it to just be the same grind day in and day out. Challenges need to feel fresh and exciting and fun. I mean, that's kind of, I don't know.
It's just fluff.
In the
Fluff
past,
fluff and smoke.
this has meant in the past, hey, let's add a blitz option to this target.
Yeah, I think that's like, that must be on the door as you walk in Kixeye, that old saying. You know, let's bring back fun, you know. Never fucking comes. Excuse my French. Excuse me. It comes, it does come, but it costs. Excuse me. Right.
Question 2.
Question 2. Miss Katana, has Mega Mayhem been fixed? Kixeye Robot replied regarding Mega Mayhem. We have a fix. Currently, QA and dev teams are making sure that I didn't break anything else. There we go.
And this has to do with the turrets and the walls. Apparently, some of the turrets in Mega Mayhem and even some of the initial player campaigns where you have to hit some you have to hit replicas of player bases essentially, and some not. So you actually do need conqueror holes, and some of these we hit player bases. Some of them took stats from our turrets, and our turrets are really, really good when you pair them against things that are very much not designed to hit turrets. So they're fixing Mega Mayhem, and I think there was tell of this happening for, I can't remember the early campaigns where you have to hit player bases, but things like that.
Okay. Question 3, Padre Prince, excuse me. Are countermeasures on the BDN affected by specials on the ship? And that was replied to by Kixeye Saltwater. Countermeasure specials do affect the breacher's countermeasures. However, it's worth noting that the default firing rate is already maxed at the game handles, so it will not increase that any further.
And to be clear for everyone, that is 0.2 of a second. That is the maximum firing rate in this game, is 0.2 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
And you can still put range on it, basically, is what he's saying. And that's good, too, because you'll get more shots, because it will take them a longer time to travel to you from farther out.
Is it a multi-shot weapon or whatever? You know, can you
I don't think so.
It's a salvo.
All right.
But wow, does it fire fast? And with a countermeasure special, wow, does it have a range?
Mm-hmm.
Good projectile speed on it? No, it's good.
Okay, question 4 was by the wonderful Agni, who we had on the show on Wednesday. Agni asked, going forward, will we see a general reduction in repair time of coming PvE/raid holes? And this was answered by Kixeye Golden Doodle. I'm not ready to commit to that either way just yet. It's something I'm currently looking at. Right. All right. And then there's another reply from Robot underneath. Regarding repair times, we always try to balance repair times of a whole. I think we made it a bit of a mishap with the Manticore. Excuse me, a bit of a mishap. As a result, we have gone back and looked at repair times for the T7, T6, and T5 holes because we want to ensure that going into T8, base and armored repair times aren't higher than they previously have been.
I have several objections.
Yeah? Go on. Hit us.
Harlock's Tideseeker, get wrecked. Balance repair times of a whole, get wrecked. Bit of a misstep with the Manticore. That's the interesting part to me because the base repair times on hulls and armor in the skirmish cycle aren't any better. The only thing that's different is you can apply evade, which can make shots miss entirely, which could lower your repair time in a different fashion based on what hits you and what doesn't. But the thing about the Manticore is they gave 2 different kinds of very quick repair armors, whereas now we only have the one, the concussive. And even though you could get a full fleet of Manties down to 15 hours base, that still was insufficient to do the hard campaigns. I think that's really the bigger issue here. It's not the number in and of itself necessarily. It's the number given context. And one of the good things about context is now your fleets can't be sniped on the map if they're just chore fleets. So the nightmare of having a day to repair is gone. And one of the good things about flagships in general is they have higher resists. So you can either opt to forego armors like some do for the Gretas or not. It's concerning that, yeah, you can put all these quick repairing armors on a hull, but apparently that's a mistake. So we're not going to do that anymore. And if they're going to have that, then they need to plan the damages of the targets even more carefully, especially when we transition onto the map where we don't have half repair, or like the Bacon event where we don't have half repair. Am I repeating this enough? Has it stopped being words? Like, this is the main problem that I have with it, is if it's 20 hours to repair, but you take an hour's worth of damage in a target, that's not that much different than it being 10 hours of repair and 1 hour of damage, except that you could do more targets with the fleet that takes 20 hours to repair. It's really about just adjusting for context. That's what we need to see.
Well, I see the thing is as well. I mean, see the way that they agree that they made a mishap with the Manticore. I mean, if they agree that they made a mishap, then are they going to refactor it? Are they going to sort its repair time out because it's still used? So they're going to, they agree that they've messed up its repair time. So why not correct it?
Well, the thing is, they gave us the armor. The limited keyword is limited armors that would reduce the repair time. Well, in this cycle, they gave us limited weapons for the flagships as well. They're pushing limit to the maximum, and that is really it's annoying.
Yeah.
It was one thing to have limited charged armor, but they're saying, "Oh no, let's get rid of the charged armor. Now we'll just give you limited, armor. Just defense armor. It's stupid."
My concern is I don't know that Kix's definition of a miss is the same as our definition of a miss. Like, are we sure that Kix doesn't think that they should have been causing us more damage and that they let us off easy, and so they're turning it up for this cycle? Because that's kind of how I feel that they think they had a miss.
Right.
That's a good point, Rena, considering Kixeye thinks that the Buccaneer and its super healing ability and our ability to do the raid was also a mistake.
Well,
Correct.
I mean, isn't Bat Rays and Razor Tail? I mean, haven't they got pretty high repair times as they are? What's the time on a fully dead fleet?
It's the same as the Manticores when they first came out. It's 22.5 hours if you use all of the initial armor for them. It's 4.5 hours-ish per ship.
Right, and the damage that I'm getting in the current raid cycle is considerably higher than what I got during any of the Manticore raid cycles.
Yep, and the damage I got in the Manticore raid cycles was considerably higher than anything I got with Hydras and Buckies. It's progressively increased. Like they used to put us in a position where if we were smart and if we built right, we could get targets down to 1 or 2 coins a hit. Whereas now they're getting us into a position where targets are like 5, 6, 7 coins a hit.
Correct.
And it's not just been on a small increase; it's been on a massively steep increase.
And the siege cycle, going back to the siege cycle, I think that's where it all started. We had a ship that had 8 times the armor of the other ones, but the same repair time, and that healed all of our other ships, so you could dilute your repair efficiency by having it heal the other ships up to 75% and just healing the flag. In addition, January of this year, even we had charged armors with no repair time. And to change both of those things out is basically multiplying theoretical repair costs by 12. And I remember mentioning it back when we first started the assault cycle is, yes, I was getting 12 times the repair. It was literally 20 minutes to 4 hours in the first raid of the assault cycle. It's like they didn't plan for not having charged armor and a healing flagship at all.
But I kind of feel like, in previous times, that even if we just rewind the clock 7 or 8 months in the game, like you were kind of rewarded for being smart. Like if you were a smart player and you put together a good fleet that you tried and tested and worked with, then you would bring your repair down and more and more and more. And just, if you were a smart player, you'd be rewarded with a lower repair time. But I kind of now I feel in the game, it doesn't really matter what you put out there. You're kind of guaranteed the same damage. Like it's like you're taking a consistently high damage regardless of what you put out there. And sure, you can do a couple of things and you can minimize it a little bit. But overall, you're kind of averaging that same 5 or 6 coin a hit kind of mark regardless. You know, it's like they've took that skill and strategy element away because it doesn't really matter what you use. You're still getting hurt.
There might be a little you can do with that. I think it has to do more with the play of the individual targets rather than the builds. If you drive Razor Tails pretty well or Bat Rays pretty well, if you can get on the edge of one ship's range and splash out a second ship so that that second ship never gets in range, it's things like that. And that's not easy to do, especially when the game decides to E your inputs and you never actually, like, you click on a ship to target it because you know you have that potential, and the game just won't do it, because that happened a ton in the Bacon event and VXP weekend, at least to me. So there are ways. They're just more difficult, and I don't think they provide as high a reward as they used to for skillful driving.
Well, they're tuning these targets for those perfect builds, and if those perfect builds are getting damaged so much, just imagine how the damage is going to be for the people who don't have perfect builds, who can't build those. It's going to be terrible for them.
I mean, the only reason I brought up that bit that I said there is because not this raid cycle, but the previous raid cycle. During the Manticore raid cycle, I went through maybe 4 or 5 different Manticore layouts, and regardless of which layout I went for, like, I refitted to the new content as it came. But by the end of the raid, I was still pretty much taking the same damage as I was at the start with the more basic build. So like it was like no matter what I did to the ship, it was never really improving. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe it was just me.
For me in the Manticore, or for me in this Bat Ray Razor Tail things, it comes down to 3 factors. It comes down to your driving ability. It comes down to the limiteds on your hull, and it comes down to your kill order. If you kill the ships in a specific order, it does reduce your damage, and that's the battleships, the hunters, the interceptors, and then you go to the submarines last, at least for the Bat Race. You take care of all the surface ships, and then you kill the submarines. But it's these limiteds which are giving me the biggest problem. On my Bat Ray flagship, I have 14 limited items, and I'm not even the biggest one. I don't have any limited armors, but out of the rest of the items on there are 14 limiteds. I can't get the rest of my alliance. I can't give anyone any good builds because I have to ask, do you have one of a dozen limiteds, such as the torpedoes greatly cut down your damage. The Hyper 30s, that cut down the damage on my fleet by about an hour per target. There's still many players that don't have those.
Mm-hmm. But there wasn't going to be any escalation in this raid cycle. It's going to be okay. No escalation at all. Everything's fine.
Okay, guys. I'll jump on to question 5. Not a big one, this one. Trying to read this name right. Strangle Jupiter asked, any plans for some new mega content? Kixeye Robot answered that there aren't any immediate plans for new mega ship content. And Kixeye Salt War followed up that it's worth adding to Robot's answer that GDS and I want to add some mega ship content. There simply aren't any immediate plans to. So that's that.
So no.
I don't think anyone's on the edge of their seat for that one.
Strangle I don't think anyone really cares about their mega.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think megas. Some people really enjoyed it. It's not something I've ever enjoyed or ever really bothered to put much effort into. But I know it was always a fun point for some of the bigger alliances in Bounty.
Well, I've heard plenty of people who said if they had a destroy button, they would destroy it.
I have personally maxed out my Hyperion 4 different times, and I can tell you it's made of dried pasta and paste. I I was sold a bill of goods expecting a Star Destroyer, and this is what I got. I am horribly disappointed in it.
We all probably wanted that amazing ship when we first encountered it in a Dirac raid, where it was an elite target. Like, it had small group of ships, and that mega ship.
Do you guys remember when I had a one-on-one Q&A with GDR about mega ships?
Ooh,
Do you remember? And he showed us the he showed us another design for another mega ship. Do you remember?
The Reaver?
The Reaver
yes.
one, yeah. Whatever happened to that Reaver one?
It got buried underneath the PvP refractor.
Abandonware.
They needed to release protos.
But he even had like artwork for it, so they must have considered it.
GDR really loved megas. So, I mean, I think part of it's just, we've had so much turnover at Kixeye over the last probably year or 2 years as far as who's leading design and the objectives coming in the game. I think, if you don't have somebody who has that same desire for that component, it just kind of goes by the wayside. And I kind of feel like that's kind of what happened with megas.
Yeah, do you know, one thing I thought they were going to do is tie it to your faction, and it was just going to be a skin. So, like, when you picked Reaver, your mega ship would be Reaver, and it would have certain bonuses in the that's what I thought they were going to do. And it was going to be tied to that. But hey-ho.
Yeah, well, and I think they had good intentions. I mean, I know they from my conversations with GDR before he left, I mean, he told me what all the different factions, what some of the specs of those mega holes were going to be. Some of them were going to be pretty interesting. So I'm kind of bummed that it kind of fell by the wayside, because I like kind of the teamwork aspect of it for alliances. But at the same time, if, with everything else going on in the game right now, I don't know that anybody really has time for megas.
I definitely agree with that. Yeah. Okay. Well, the next question is by Strangled Jupiter again. He seems to have asked a lot of questions, this guy. Any plans for more tiles and more turrets? And the Saltwater has replied saying yes, including potentially the ability for you to have mountain tiles, heavy directional turrets like you will see in T8 Siege targets. Don't know what that means. Mountain tiles.
T8 Siege. Oh, Tier 8 Siege targets. Okay. So, it's like, how the proto-nems will fire an arc of mortars, but it's only in like an arc about, I want to say, 100, 120 degrees in front of you. But if you can like move and sneak around it and flank it from the side, I'm thinking it's something like that. Or like you would see in the mega ships, how there'd be that giant yellow area and then a rain of missiles. I'm thinking it's something like that.
Like a raised land sort of.
Not for the mountain tiles necessarily. I'm just thinking of the turrets. But raised land would be nice, because it would actually mean that you could stop ballistics, stop the Arbalest 2 with any reasonable certainty, because right now, what are walls?
Paper.
Butter.
It's not even that. If they just added Pierce Decay, for God's sake, why did they not have Pierce Decay? That's just dumb. You're just wrong.
I think that's another question further down.
Yeah, there'll be a post saying, yeah, I know we made a bit of a mishap with Pierce Decay. that'll be the line for that one, I bet. Anyway, right.
It does not come up in this document, so no.
All right. Strange Jupiter again. Jesus Christ. Right. Will we be getting a corrosive ballistic alloy for turrets soon? And yes. The answer is yes. Right. Question 8. Strangled Jupiter again. Any plan?
Can I actually touch on that for a second? Number 7.
Go on.
So, I think what they're doing with the tiers as they go on is they're introducing different two-part combinations of resistances and defense. Like it was ballistic and pen, and then it was explosive and radio, and then it was concussive and corrosive. But now it's ballistic and corrosive. So we might see a MCO armor set coming soon.
Okay.
So that you can't necessarily defend against everything with the older stuff. I think that's interesting and a pretty neat way of making sure that the new tier stuff is relevant, but not introducing new damage types, etc.
Okay, question 8, Strangle Jupiter again. Any plans to do things with the buildings we have in our bases, like adding new researchable content, tech lab for one? This is something we've discussed for years, isn't it? But Kixeye Chris just simply replied, they're looking into new researchable content. I believe we've also been told that many a time. So, yeah. Question 9. Oh, this woman's trouble. Question 9 was asked by someone called Rena. I don't know if you know that one. Is the raid a 6? Is this raid a 6-day raid? Will we be getting the siege cycle hull? Are you doing 1 hull or 2 hull? And will we be able to auto steal for reasonable damage? Is siege cycle 3 or 4 months? And then at the end of that, it says Liam99 is the greatest pirate I've ever known. So that was a question from Rena there.
Is that a filter you add onto your screen to say that?
No,
is that your screensaver?
That's what it said, all right? Right, listen. So Kixeye Chris replied to this one saying, yes, this is a 6-day raid. We will have 2 siege hulls available. The goal is to pick one of them, similar to last time. Siege cycle is 3 months. Auto for reasonable damage is kind of a gray area as to what that means, so we won't necessarily go into that. So that was his reply on that.
Okay.
I have issues with the whole 3 month versus 4 month raid cycle, and I have issues with his response on the whole auto thing, because that is a philosophy change from the prior leadership again.
Yeah, I agree with you in fact, really, because to be quite honest, I heavily rely on auto to get my game done, because I just don't have the free time to put in that much seat time. So having the ability to auto a lot via my phone, whether that be chores, whether that be FM, I mean, I pretty much auto everything because I just do not have the free time. Don't get me wrong, I still have fleets that could go in and control if I do get a little bit of time, but overall for raids, 99% of my raid is auto. So if they're not going to allow us to auto and get like, I know we're going back to 3-month cycles, and that also goes back to 12 PvP fleets a year, and anything else that comes in between that. But if I can't auto, I mean, I'm probably just going to start getting very behind.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of us over the last year who've come to depend on that headquarters app that they put out. I mean, how many of us sit there on our app while we're at work and auto from our phones now? Because that's the only way we can keep up with everything. So, I mean, to go away from being able to do that for a reasonable cost, I mean, I think it's a huge mistake on Kixeye's part. I think it'll chase a lot of players away.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it will put players in a position where they don't have enough time to do everything, therefore fall behind, therefore probably lose interest. So yeah, I mean, if anything, it's only going to affect their profits, I think, by not allowing us to auto, because if you haven't got the content, you can't coin the builds, But yeah, I definitely think they need to rethink that one. I think that one's a big one. So it was good question on that one, Rena. Okay, let's. Does anyone else want to add on that one before I hop into number 10? No? Okay, cool. Jessica asked, when will the retrofit levels for defense tech be fixed? The refactor broke it when they went from resistance-based to deflection-based. Kixeye Chris replied saying, I believe we're working on a fix for that retrofit issue.
Good, because the retrofits for the various alloy armors for turrets and ships are all over the place. Sometimes you get the benefit for the retro on one side of your armor, but not on the other. It's annoying and it needs to be looked at and pruned. So hopefully they can take care of all of this.
Okay, the next question's quite funny, actually, this one. You won't be turning battle parts into another war commander, will you? You mean a dead game? Kixeye Golden Doodle replied saying, I need some more clarification if that's okay. What about War Commander do you not like? ? And are you referring to War Commander Rogue Assault or War Commander? There's a bit of clarification below, but I thought that was quite a funny one, actually. Does any of you guys play War Commander? No? Guys and girls?
No.
No.
I looked at it once many years ago, and I think I kept it around for a week.
Yeah, I played it for a couple of weeks, but it was really, really silly.
So we
Just
actually
like
still have
DS.
somebody. We have somebody in our alliance who still plays it on a daily basis,
Right?
and he says it's nothing like Battle Pirates.
Does he say it's good? Though?
Excellent.
He says he can be competitive over on War Commander without spending the amount of coin that he has to spend on Battle Pirates to do it.
Okay.
So, but like you guys said, I mean, none of the rest of us even knew War Commander was still around. So I don't know that it's necessarily generating the revenue for them that Battle Pirates does. So I don't think they can turn this into a War Commander because they need the revenue. One of their games has to generate revenue.
Yeah.
Well, they just made War Commander into the app, right? Rogue Assault.
Yeah, they turned one. Yeah, they created a separate game that's Rogue Assault. I don't think they're tied together.
But that's that. I looked at that game and it just felt like one of your typical, freemium buy now kind of games. It was just, I don't know. It looked really nice graphically, but I don't know if the content was there. Back up. Question 12 from this guy's trouble. Cuttlefish. Are crews being looked at? Golden Doodle. Yes, we're looking at it. There's a lot of potential for improvement. There isn't currently being taken advantage of. Someone said before the next year, maybe a fix. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like we get the road crew changes before the end of December. So they're working on something, but we won't be seeing it till next year.
We will see. They've been saying they were going to look at crews for a very, very long time. So,
hey, it's so funny when you look at the stat blocks of the crews and you see that it busts Seawolves and Leviathan.
Hammerheads.
Yeah,
Hammerheads, let's go.
Yeah. Let's just roll them out. They have they'll only die in 0.1% of a shot of everything.
I still have those elite mercenary crews that you got from that one event, just waiting. It's like, I'm sorry, guys, you are never getting onto your beloved Crusader ships.
Yeah.
I still have 3 of those too that give you the double base parts.
Wow.
Nice.
I got one.
I don't have any of them.
The crew rebalance should have been done shortly after the class split.
I agree.
I wonder if there's anyone still around that has one of what was the sub one that gave you
Silent Hunters.
No,
No, I'm dumb. Crypt Keepers.
That's it, Crypt Keepers, man. I wonder if anyone's about that still has a Crypt Keeper.
There are still a few of those about.
I'm sure there are.
We have a handful of people in our group that have at least one of them.
They're like a legendary item, I guess. Okay.
You know what? My concern with the crew rebalance, because when we did those PvP previews earlier this month or last month at this point, they had that grease monkey on there where now it only lasted 30 minutes that you got the half repair. And it was it was a silver one, and the legendary one was gone. But the junkyard dog was just the opposite. So if that's any indication of how they plan to change our crews, I'm not necessarily all that gung-ho for them to do it at this point.
Yeah. Well, that's it, yeah. Maybe we'll see that.
Don't mess up the few that work.
But it's Kix. I mean, do you really think they're going to let us keep a 90-minute crew that gives us half repair anytime we want it?
And, because that encourages spending to get the most value out of it, I'd like to think so. But some silver crews are rarer than gold crews. I tell you what, rolling for silver salties even is just, I get more golds that are the freaking UAV one and the double uranium one. It's like, I don't care anymore.
Okay, well, this next question's kind of long-winded, but I'll try to briefly cover it. I'm going to pronounce his name wrong, so I do apologize to whoever asked this question. Logacious Mute. I think I might
that's a Q.
Oh,
that's
whatever.
A Q.
Right.
Loquacious.
Oh, thanks, Brian. Anyway, we were told that T8 would be a more mechanical upgrade rather than another leap in power. However, he's saying that T8 is very powerful and it really negates T7 content. And how is it going to work going forward? Kixeye Saltwater replied saying, the Breacher's Dreadnought exists in a weird place right now since it's the only T8 PvP hull available. So, but yeah, I mean, and that's kind of true. You know, it will look it will look more powerful than T7 because it's the only bit of content of that we have, really. So I guess he's answered that okay there, really.
And the thing is that's always going to happen unless they release a tier 8 Defender and like a tier 8 turret simultaneously with the tier 8 Conqueror. And although Bounty would be a good place to do that, that didn't happen this month, number one. Number two, they wouldn't release that many things in the same Bounty, I'd hope. And I'm sure there was a third thing somewhere, but it just, yeah, it's all bad. And having to wait a month or more for an appropriate counter is just making things hell in the intervening time, which is right now.
A question for everybody on the panel, though. How are you all dealing with breachers coming into your base? Because I'm smoking them at the moment. So I don't see this huge power gap.
So for anyone out there, right, Cuttlefish is basically putting out the challenge there. Get into his base.
I'm not putting out the challenge. I'm just saying that, I'm killing the majority of them that are coming in.
Sorry, challenge, steal his base design.
That could be the Christmas prize. Like, see who can crack his base the best wins the gold.
To strap a dreadnought, I just put a dreadnought out front. Just have it parked there.
That's what I have in my base. I have a dreadnought in my base.
I've seen people look at the dreadnought and then just turn away. And they have dreadnoughts themselves. I think it's funny.
I've got a dreadnought in my base.
Everybody does almost.
Has your base been hit since you built your guard yet?
I did a whole new base and a whole new guard in the last 24 hours. So I will probably get smashed a fair bit, but no, it's not been hit yet.
Okay, I was just curious.
I don't even know what I'm looking at. I've never even seen the whole in action yet. So I guess it's just going to be a bit of. No, I've not seen it once yet. I've built a few of them dry, and ranked them, and then I've put one in my base. But I've not had a chance to really watch them in action, and I've not tried them myself yet. So.
Oh, it's fun to watch.
He's going to build those later tonight.
It's
on his to-do list.
Yeah, is it fun like shoot yourself in the head fun, or is it fun like oh yeah that's cool? Which kind of fun?
Like fun thing for the deposit.
Right. Okay. So, have I skipped ahead of anything now? No. So, question 14. I'm not going to pronounce the guy's name again, but we'll just say mute. If the base resource amount available in salvages is not increased, is it possible to have salvage resources bank automatically as the premium ones do? And Kixeye Chris has answered that that's been suggested and they're looking into it, and if they can make it happen, they will. Is that a big thing in the game, salvages? Or
resources are probably the most important thing in the game right now because of everything that they released. The new radio OP gun takes 900 million of every resource to put on, and you only can hold 1 billion. Meanwhile, you can only get 1 million of each from salvages, and a lot of people are being flattened just for their resources, so that players can upgrade walls and things like that. I'm not sure how much this would fix that issue necessarily. I feel like the better issue is to just increase the amount, but you can bank resources automatically. Uranium, titanium, base parts, they're banked automatically. It's possible. It's being done right now. So they need to figure out how to make that work. And I believe that they can do that.
Well, and there was some type of a glitch with the replica bases where if you were hitting the replica bases during bounty, it was auto-banking your resources. So obviously it can happen accidentally. I'm sure they can figure it out on purpose.
I've never noticed that.
But I agree. It would be good to increase the resources that come from the cargo too.
Basically everything right now.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm a coastal raider at the moment. I'm running around with 2 of my naked breachers, and I'm hitting, baby seals, and I'm draining them for resources. Generally, about every 2 bases, I have to go back to drop off my res, 1 or 2. And if you allow me to do it, if they could just bank automatically, that means that would cut down my, I don't know, farming time, as I could just hit all of these in a row until my res is completely maxed out.
You're just a mean old pirate, Cuttlefish.
15 billion Zynthium is required for my 600 walls.
Well, in all fairness, the specific question I think was just auto banking cargo, not resources in general, but I think it should be from all targets. Whether they do it on both PvE and PvP, I don't really care. I mean, they've got classes for a reason. If they want to class that out, so be it. And only auto bank our PvE resources, I don't care.
Okay, let's go on to questions. I think I'm on question 16, yes. Damnation asked, so one thing your predecessor, Just Mike, wanted to eliminate was as least chores as possible. Is this still a goal, or has that goalpost moved? And Golden Doodle said it is 100% still a goal. I don't really see how they can eliminate chores right now in the game. We need uranium, we need titanium, we need base parts, we need resources. I mean, how can we possibly eliminate any of that?
I mean, they did give us advanced resource generators, but those were laughable. So, meh.
Okay. I did actually miss a question there. Thanks, Brian, for spotting that.
Shall I just snipe it?
No.
Okay. Loquacious. Sorry.
No, yeah, you go for it. Go on.
Loquacious Mute. Nice name. Further to the resources question is the amount of resources Tier 8 holds under review, and it's not. They want to find a way to solve for resource starvation, but we're trying to figure that out too.
Lots of unaligned lower level players are suffering. That is for sure. Because I'm not the only one draining them.
No, that's like everybody.
That's everybody.
Everyone is.
Yeah, I'm 109 and I'm still getting beat up for my res until I spend all my res, so I'm broke. I mean, they're not hitting me for medals. I'm not worth anything.
Right, and people's defenses are geared towards protecting their OP because that's the most important thing. People aren't out there protecting their warehouses. Some of them are on the entrance to their channels to trigger a bubble pad. That's all I need. I'll just fight that and leave.
It's been a very common thing, hasn't it, for a long time in the game to use a warehouse as a bubble pad.
And now I'm looking for it. So this shift to tier 8 has done one thing for my game style. I do far more PvP than I ever did before that. And it's just me sniping other players' warehouses and walking away with them.
Question 17, if we're good to go. Damnation, another comment on your predecessor, Just Mike. He was extremely active with the community here on Discord, which gave us a bit more of a sense of confidence in where the game was heading. Is this something we could look forward to from you as well? Kixeye Golden Doodle just replied saying, yes, you can. I've not been on Discord. I don't use Discord. I don't think I ever will use Discord. I don't even use the Kixeye site. Because for me, Battle Parts has always been on Facebook. And all the pages are on Facebook. The community's on Facebook. I don't, maybe I'm too old-fashioned in my ways, but I've never really enjoyed the Kixeye app. I only go on there to read stuff occasionally in the forum. I don't play the game via it. And I just feel that Kixeye always seems to be trying to pull people away from Facebook. But Facebook is where their game began. It's where their community is. It's where their players are. So why are they so obsessed with pulling everyone away from it? That's just kind of how I feel about it. I don't know. They want to close, they want to put everyone into this Discord, stop these chats, stop these groups. They want to pull everyone on Kixeye's forum or whatever and play the game via there. But why? Why should it? I mean, if anything, they're only closing doors. No one's going to go and no game player is suddenly going to search Kixeye, are they? When they don't know anything about them. But if they see a pop up on Facebook where you have millions and millions of people all over the world. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm old-fashioned. What do you guys think on that?
I think the Discord is them sort of burning their own forums and watching the flames. They post their announcements there, etc., like they're supposed to. But if you go down there, like below the pin posts, it is the hottest of messes. It's not good, and the moderators can only do so much. I think this is a little more private because there is a barrier to entry. You need to go download Discord, which is free and pretty quick to do, but that's still a barrier that a lot of people don't do, either because they don't know about it or they don't know what Discord is and don't want to do something like that. So it's a barrier artificially, but on the other side of that barrier, I think there is better communication. There are people that come on and will answer questions. They'll even answer queries of people that haven't spent $50 on the game. So it's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Well, anyone else on the Discord stuff? I mean, are you guys happy with it? Do you think it's good? Do you think it's a positive move?
I like being able to have the direct interaction with Kixeye, being able to have actual conversations in live time instead of posting a comment and having to wait a couple hours to get a response. Mm-hmm. Because if they're on, they'll interact and you can have that direct conversation. I'll also say there's a lot more Kixeye people who are actually on Discord participating than what I've seen on any Facebook pages or on forums. So you have people kind of from all the different departments. Robot is somebody who we've never really been able to interact with. He's not really on forums anymore since now he's, on the design team. But he also doesn't have a Facebook. So it's been really nice because Robot is on Discord. As you saw, he responded to some of the questions from the Q&A. So it's nice to be able to interact with him somewhere outside of, the other ways that we've been able to interact with him and ask questions. He's one that I always go to when I'm having trouble with autoing targets and my fleet doesn't stay stacked. And he's been able to fix a couple of those issues real time for us in some events where we've been having some autoing issues. So I like the interaction more. I don't like the being pulled away from Facebook, kind of like you. I'm old school. I like Facebook. I like having everything nice and happy in one little place. That's where all my group pages are. I'd like to be able to do all of that in one place rather than now I have Discord on my phone, I have Facebook on my phone, and I still can't get to forums on my phone.
Yeah. I get that. Like any way of Kixeye reaching out to players and communicating with players is great. It is great. And you don't see it from any gaming company. So, I mean, that's true. I just get a sense that they would rather us not be on Facebook. It feels like we're always being pulled away from it. And I just think that they need to remember that that's where they began. That's where millions of people are. And if they ever wanted to actually start flowing the game with new players instead of having so many players leave, then that's the place it's going to happen. Yeah. Well, we are running late. I mean, I don't know. Should we maybe just pick out some of the more poignant questions? And apologies to anyone if we missed any serious questions, because we are at the hour mark.
I can speed run a bunch of these because I feel like it's my fault that we're so behind.
No, I wouldn't say that, Brian. I wouldn't say that. Your opinion's always valued. Okay, Brian, speed run some.
Yeah. Okay. Where were we on? We were on 18. Will FM continue to be almost a weekly raid? Prize inflation. Chris says it's a loaded question. We don't see the FM as a second raid. Cost seems stable. I think they were, but some of the first ones with release all the new content feels like more than a raid. 19, Hefe talked about resource food chain being cargo targets. Are you going to increase the amount of resources from the cargoes? They're brainstorming long-term solutions and some short-term ones. They're looking at cutting down on the amount of time to gather basic resources. 20, Hefe again, the role of the Proto Apollo. It's the same role as the other protos, an upgraded version of the season's hull type. They're not planning future protos. That's still the case. 21, FA again. When will we see a tier 8 defender? Hope it's PvE. Chris, January for tier 8 PvP defender, but things have been changing, so put a pin in that.
That's cool.
Yeah, it'd be nice. Question 22, Nigel, will we seeing a lot of tier 8 tech soon, or are they going to be as slow like tier 7 and the rush at the end? Chris answered, they want to trickle out content regularly. It shouldn't take as long as tier 7 did. They wanted to rush out the end of tier 7 because of the refactor. 23, Alpha Wolf, any chance of slowdown on the amount of events each month? No. Will we see more special events with no half repair, like the Bacon event? Something about a Krampus one in December. Joy, the demon of Christmas.
So that's a very quick yes. We're gonna have more of those no halftime event raids that everybody loves so much.
Absolutely, they were insanely successful. If you look at the, I have never felt more pressure to do any of these events than I did for the first Flying Dutchman event, where they told us if you don't get these anti-torpedoes, you're going to suck in the raid. I felt that pressure very keenly.
Well, in all fairness, their message was originally this will give you a leg up in the raid, but that it wasn't mandatory. It was supposed to be optional content, but that's not how it actually worked out.
Several objections.
And then, and then in the next event, the Bacon event, I also felt pressure there because first tier 8 ship, get it, or
you're a farm.
Or you're a farm.
Pretty much.
Get it, and you're a farm sometimes.
Yeah.
Both.
Yes.
Yes. Sometimes. Yes.
And this Krampus event is going to be the exact same. These were highly successful. These forced a ton of people to coin. I mean, in the last event, in the Bacon event, we had somebody who got 16.1 million points. And then number 2 was 14 million. And number 3 was 11 million. I mean, the epic amount of coins.
In the background?
Yeah, the epic amount of coins that rained down off of those 3 people is going to guarantee that we will get an event every single month with this, and they will try to put the same exact pressure on us, which means for me, I'm betting a ton of limited items for ships.
That's 16 million, by the way. For blitzing, it's about 24,000 coins because they double the amount of points that you get, but the minimum is 15, etc.
So that is a guarantee from Kixeye that we are going to get more of these events every single month. Just.
Can I continue?
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I just don't know. 24, Padre, Prince, is there a plan to change PvP stat blocks to reflect deflection environments, damage projectile stat? Kixeye, wrong, probably wrong thinker. We're looking at better ways to communicate what's going on. So that's a good suggestion. We're going to try. And that's what I touched on earlier. I think that's necessary. 25, Captain Lullaboy, will there be an Alliance bounty leaderboards? Kixeye Chris, no, we might consider it. 26, Valerie Venom, with the way that we have sorting, are we going to get better classification for tier drop downs, item type, damage type, and a search bar function? Kix Golden Doodle, yes, that's the plan. Thank God. Oh my God. 27. This is an important one, so I'm going to go slow. Nurutsu Busu, can we get info on Siege Cycle and New Hull? Chris, this is going to be similar to the last one with more interesting gameplay defenses like mountain tiles and turrets with firing arcs. The Eradicator and Shrike are the 2 new hulls. One has a frenzy mechanic that allows it to pick up speed as it kills. The other submerges while on the move, then rises to fire when stationary. The new Siege Cycle hulls are Shrike and Eradicator. Shrike is a submerged artillery platform. It cannot shoot while submerged, and it's only submerged when it's moving. But it can launch major damage when it surfaces after becoming stationary and is able to fire over mountain terrain. The Eradicator is a ballistic powerhouse that gets bonus movement speed after it kills stuff, allowing it to dash around mountain terrain. They provide different answers for the same problem. So I feel like the Shrike is going to be the quote-unquote more skillful hull, and the Eradicator is going to be more akin to Razor Tails, where you run in and you kill things, and you run fast and you kill things.
Okay.
No other comments? 28. Damag, during the next raid, will there be a hull and useful stuff with base parts? Having the new siege hulls available to collect base parts during the 2019 siege cycle, yes. So we're going to have the tier 8 siege hulls able to collect base parts from our current targets. 29, Hell's X, when you replace map targets. Why do you keep the damage in them around the same output as the raid, but with no half repairs? Robot mentioned doing a tuning pass and then shift them as part of the end of cycle transition. But the target fleets that are legendary with all the bells and whistles for these targets, because the targets are meant to be around for a longer duration, we don't want to have to go back and adjust them. And that makes some sense. You should be building up your holes as the raid cycle goes on. I'm going to laugh at them a little bit, though, because they had to pull multiple different kinds of these. The Siege this year and the Skirmish, I believe, last year, because they were way too powerful for even those fleets that were legendary and had all the bells and whistles. So, come on, guys. 30, Adam, do you consider extending the expiration date for Tier 7 tokens? Golden Doodle says there's an option to considering that. They're open to considering that, but doesn't look like it right now. We've got like a day left, so use them.
Chris came out and said no, they're not doing that.
Yeah,
but they are going to give us a future opportunity. Just an update from that question.
Oh, good.
They're going to give us like a second round of the discount, I guess.
So that'll be nice. If we get tokens, it'd be nice. Otherwise, it's just coin a discount.
I doubt they're going to give us tokens, but it said discount specifically.
Yeah, so probably the same thing, 70%. Roscuro, 31, Roscuro, are we being told to sit and wait patiently for the release of missing Tier 7 tech and more Tier 8 holes to balance the game? Was Refactor. Chris, Refactor was not designed to balance the whole game, but focus Tier 7 PvP structure such as it was. It did fix this. Tier 7 is no longer broken in the way it was, but there's some minor tweaks we can make as feedback comes in. Tokens allow you to refit. There's only the one armor they didn't bring out, so Tier 7 tech still needs to be released. Meh. It was a healthy change due to route by the players with the generosity of refit. I mean, they still added resource costs, and they still released the Tier 8 hole while we were refitting, while the 48 hours was out. So this answer doesn't entirely ring true, because they didn't let you... They didn't wait to unlock the store till the end of the event. So I got smashed the next morning with the Tier 8 hole, and while the 70% discount was going on.
My issue with that question is they say that there's still a chance that they're going to rebalance some stuff. And we're 2 days away from, or a day away from losing our tokens, which means if they decide to rebalance it, then we're all going to be screwed and rebalancing whatever they rebalance on our fleets and in our bases at our dime. And I have a problem with that.
32, Admiral Hawk, is there anything in the works top players are getting walloped by players above them because there's no defense? Still, there's no defense for the level 89 who gets hit by a player 110-ish. Kind of takes the fun out of the game. Chris, we have a general fleet weight plan to help out the balance of combat so players aren't getting stomped. Still brainstorming. There's no roadmap, but it's on the radar. That's interesting. A fleet weight plan. Maybe if your fleet weighs over so many tons, they can't hit players to player base level. We're not sure. 33, Hardcore. Any bounty changes in the near future? Chris, yes, next bounty will have some small changes. It's more on the way in future bounties. Joy. 34, Damag. Is there new armor with the new siege hull? Or are we still with the one from the FM if we didn't have the old limited versions? Robot. Regarding armors, we're going to be setting up armors for them in a similar vein that you guys saw for the 2018 skirmish cycle. I'm waiting for that personally because the C1CR is the best armor in the game still, and they have to outdo that. So I wonder what's going to happen with that and what they're going to have to make on an armor to make it worth 22 minutes of repair time each.
Well, we can guarantee it's going to be over a day to put them on.
Rage.
Per plate.
No, it could be less because that could be a point in its favor, the new armor, that it costs so much less to put on. That was happening with some of the older weapons, I think. 35, Cuttlefish. That fortification, all 6 damage types covered. Templar, yes. Fortification adds ship deflection. So anything a ship does, less damage. 36, Hell's X. Will you be making a target for the Proto Apollo? Templar, yes. There will be an assault perimeter for the SSRB. I believe that was a long time ago, and then everyone forgot about it, and I thought I was crazy because I remember it, and I'm not crazy. It's coming. I don't think a Proto Apollo is worth it, though.
But It would have been nice if they would have put a date in when the assault perimeter would have shown up, even a round date.
Especially because if they waited too long, we then have a tier 8 assault fleet. And if we all know anything about how our current skirmish fleets are doing compared to the proto tides in the Uranium SSRB, straight up no contest. Oh my god, this is not fair. So they need to get that out quick. I'm not sure when they have assault in their next year roadmap. If they're going to put garrison in, if they're not, where that's going to fit, second or third in the order, etc.
Well, that is a massive, massive, huge chunk of information there. I mean, we kind of steamrolled through the last section of questions, guys, because we were running low on time. But there was 36 questions there. 36, isn't it? Yeah. And if anyone wants to read them in more detail or go back and read them, I'll add a link to the forum at the bottom of the YouTube and in the page when I post a video. But it's in the forum. Discord Q&A is marked as posted by Templar. So yeah, if you want to go and check it out and have a read through, then definitely do so. But I think for us guys, is there anything else anyone wants to add in before I close the show?
Pierce range. Why? Why did you do this? Why? Oh, Pierce decay. I'm sorry. Is Pierce range one of those things that gets divided by 5 and nobody remembers? Is it like spread in that sense, or am I just wrong?
I just had a response to the Pierce decay by one of the CMs. He said his official response was, "I think we made a bit of a mishap with Pierce decay."
Yes.
You think?
We're looking into it. Yeah, update coming January 2020. So.
Oh, not even 2019.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, kids. So yeah, guys, no, a lot of information, a lot to read through. So I do apologize that the open mic was a Sunday, not a Saturday. I think this is an absolute first for us, but it was due to me being in a hotel with terrible internet. So blame me.
We've done one on a Sunday before.
Have we? Okay.
Yeah, it was a really long time ago, though. I think it was over a year ago.
Well, I appreciate everyone that came out and watched tonight anyway, and I appreciate all of you that come onto the show. It was great to see you all. We've got a live show coming this week. It will probably be Wednesday. It might be Tuesday. And I say might because if we get all of the relevant information out about the raid and the prize list and whatnot, then we could run on Tuesday, but we'll just see. I'll update the page on Tuesday for that. But other than that, enjoy what's left of the weekend, guys, and have a good week. And we will see you next week.
Alrighty.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.